Hi YouTube, it's me, the Shy Pianist, or you may know me as the Donald of Zephyr Wargames, bringing you a updated deck profile of Sky Strikers with the post-ban list with Engage back. So yeah, not much I can really say on that. Also to know, I guess, as always, my card sleeves are standard size, so hence there will be borders around them. And this build isn't really, I would say, like aimed to be played competitively, but it still has some competitive elements to be played at a local level. So by all means, take this deck profile as like a basis or like something to build on, or give you ideas of what decks you could play. So just gonna put that out right now. So yeah. So, starting straight off, we are playing triple Sky Striker Ace Ray, or as I call her, Charlotte, from the influence that she's from. So this is probably standard on the fact that she's your main go-to, and I also play double Sky Striker Ace Rose. Now, I don't have a third copy, but if you do have a third copy, I would highly recommend to at least consider to play Rose at 3. This is so that you can at least go into your Hayate or Kagari and recycle out your, or get out your Engage as much as possible, or earliest as possible, by having the possibilities to open up with one of these and then just go from there. So yeah, sadly this is all we have for Sky Striker Ace monsters, and yeah, hopefully, well, whether we will get more is to be seen yet. To also round out on whatever monsters we do have, I do play 2 hand traps, and for this one it would be to Ash. This is just my personal preference of what hand trap to play for this current upcoming format at the minute. Ash is just the most versatile to be played, and yeah, like as I say, you can play more hand traps in this deck, and that is totally up to your personal preference. Right, so onto the spells, which is pretty much the main bulk of deck. You know, we're just playing the 1 Engage, seems alright, you know, probably fine at 1. Who am I kidding? Engage back at 1, this is just the pot of greed effectively for the deck, but even better because one of the cards that you get from the 2 is one that you search. Other one-offs that is been limited by the ban list, the 1 multi-roll and the 1 Hornet drones. So, all these are at 1 for a reason, and you play them at 1 for a reason. Next, other one-offs that I play in the deck, which aren't hindered by the ban list. I play the 1 Afterburners, the 1 Jamming Waves, and the 1 Scissor Cross. Now, Afterburners and Jamming Waves are basically your spot removal cards. These can be bumped up depending on your preference, and you could side more copies in for these 2, depending on what sort of decks you're facing against. And Scissor Cross can be bumped up to 2, probably maximum of 2, as this is basically your revival for Ray or Rose, and you can help you go into your Sky Striker Ace monsters. So it's just mainly on that, so you can consider this at 2 if you so wish to. Other Sky Striker Ace Sky Striker spells I play at 2. I play 2 Area 0. Don't feel the need to play 3 because you don't necessarily need to go your way to search this, and you don't necessarily need to have this in your hand at all times. It just helps, but it's not necessary. Yeah. Next, I play 2 Hercules Base, and this is for your means of recycling. So, you know, especially in the grind games, so a lot of people I would recommend to play at least the 1, so you have some form of recyclability. The 2 is just extra support on the recycle, and basically helps you play in the longer grind games, which this deck pretty much ends up doing anyway. I play the 2 Eagle Booster, so this is personally for my preference, so you just at least see a copy. Not at 3 because it does get cloggy as a result, and I love playing this when combo with how my deck plays. which I'll get onto it later. Next we play 2 Shark Cannon. Now in my build I can just drop this to 1 because it's not as useful as it is for other people's builds, but yeah, I would recommend to at least consider Shark Cannon at 2 or 3 for some other players, simply because for the fact that you can just banish your opponent's monster and then summon it to your side of the field. Admittedly it can't attack, but you basically just use it to link fodder off, and get you into bigger power plays. And lastly, we are playing the triple Widow Anchor, one of the main form of interruption against your opponent in this deck. It does become a bit more of a problematic thing when they have a monster that can't be targeted, and it's a boss monster, something like Dragoon or something like that. So yeah, it does become a bit more problematic on that, but still nonetheless a good form of interruption for this deck. Moving to the other spells, we are playing the 2 Foolish Burial Goods and the 1 Metal Foes Fusion. For those who don't know, this is effectively allowing you to manipulate your graveyard to get you more spells, and then when you've got enough spells you can then shuffle this back in to again give yourself an extra draw. You can play 3 of Foolish Burial Goods, but you do run the risk of basically just opening up multiple copies, and Foolish Burial Goods can only be played once per turn. So yeah, keep that in mind. Probably the most degenerate thing in this deck is I am playing the 1 Terraforming and the triple Mystic Mine. This deck doesn't this deck doesn't care about Mystic Mine. Namely, this is a form of slowing your opponent down. A lot of your times you'll be having the 1 monster anyway, and also helps you to bait out negates. So it's a very universal and versatile kind of card to be played. But yes, you are like 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be Unga Bunga. Play this, and then it's Caveman Yu-Gi-Oh all over again. Yeah, this deck doesn't really suffer too much from playing this deck, and it's more of a hindrance to the other decks. So yeah, this is just a very powerful tool, but very degenerate one at that. Okay, to round up the remaining spells, we also are playing the 1 Rotor to access your Ray or Rose, mainly Ray for this card. For that, I decided to put the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. This was a MST before. This is so that you can respond to like an anti-spell fragrance as soon as they flip it up. But I guess, just some sort of spot removal to the back row is, I would advise at least to keep in mind for this part. And lastly, I play the 1 Slash Draw. Slash Draw is just generally here for more recursion and grindy games. It's a free, extra ditch to spell. You can manipulate recyclability on whatever card you want, especially if you're running low. This could also be a Pot of Avarice, because you do burn through your Sky Striker Ace Link monsters, and gives you some sort of recursion. So something to consider on that. So yeah, Slash Draw. Right, on to the remaining parts of the deck. Trap wise, we're playing triple There Can Only Be One. This is a very good floodgate for, I would say, in this upcoming meta. Effective against Salads, effective against the Dragon Link if they're still able to play, and Zoo Tri Brigade. A lot of them do rely on the same type, and having this hinders them a lot more than you. Admittedly, as soon as you go into one of the Ace Link monsters, you are stuck with them as you flip this up, so do bear that in mind. But yeah, you're perfectly fine to be sitting on the higher tier attacking directly while you've hindered them to just the 1 monster and they can't combo off or whatever. So yeah, there's those. And lastly, my personal favourite tech playing in this deck is triple Imperial Iron Wall. Now, this is so that you combo off with multi-roll, and it allows you to effectively recycle and reset every every turn, you can place like a Widow Anchor, play a ego booster, so that your monster never dies. You get to steal something for free. You know, you can go nuts with it. The only downside is sharp cannon, so that's why I said in my build I could burn this to 1, or just take it out completely. And yeah, you just go nuts with these constantly activating every turn, reset, and the fact that you can activate the quick play ones during your opponent's turn, and then reset the normal spells, so you reset back your engage, and then during the end of your turn you set back the quick play spells, and you know, you just have a whale of a time with this effectively. But yeah, it's just my personal favourite tech to be played in this deck. This can be obviously, you know, anything, honestly. Hand traps, war, solemn judgments, if you first solemn brigade cards, anything. So that's it for the main deck. On to the extra deck. So starting with triple Shizuku Water. You know, these are pretty much not much to be said. Being able with this one allows you to grab whatever Sky Striker Sky Striker spell that you need in the end phase. Triple Kagari, allowing you to recur from the grave and make use of engage multiple times. Triple Hayate, allowing you to dump from the deck, so you don't have to go searching for it or having to draw it, and then recur with Kagari afterwards. That's pretty much standard on that. And then 2 Kana. Kana is more a defensive option, and it's to be used during your opponent's battle phase. You just stun one of their monsters effectively, and you can gain life. Yeah. Lastly, to round it up, I do play the one Zeke. This is like more personal preference, that you can at least give you option to at least banish something until your opponent's end phase and then keep doing it. And you know, it becomes a fairly decent beat stick on the fact that you can send something, you know, you start taking with like a Widow Anchor, gives it 1000 attack, and if in case you haven't got multi-roll or you failed off from the area base. So it's just something that you could consider, but I would probably recommend a bit more towards like maybe like an IP to go into a higher links, or you know, just have other link 2s that can you make use of. And lastly, I played the one Phoenix, the one Unicorn, and the one Boiled Sword. So Phoenix is just extra more background removal, because you don't really care too much on the monsters, and Unicorn just give you extra spin or just something a bit more useful, and the Boiled Sword just for OTKs, and by stealing your opponent's monsters, using Shark Cannon and Link into a higher link. So yeah, there you go. It can be like access code talk as well, whatever you got in your arsenal effectively. So that is it for the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed that. There you go. So Earth, Fire, yeah, cool. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, guys, happy dueling!